Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gridiron 2023. Dr. Ron Poniewasz along with Professor Larry Kelly, the varsity baseball coach at Shenango and a member of the Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly, and George law firm, and a general fan of Gridiron as well, is Larry Kelly, and we welcome him back to Gridiron. Thank you for joining us, Larry.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for having me. It's a great time of year as we're doing this show right now. I'm watching Game 7, Philadelphia and Arizona. And as you said before we went on the air, maybe the two best words in sports, Game 7.
That's
and
right.
In any Game 7, especially in baseball, when it's one and done, anything can happen. The best team might not win today. A little bit of luck in baseball, a little bit of luck in sports generally, but I've always believed maybe more so in baseball than in any other sport because, you can come up and hit a line drive right on the button and it's an out. And the next guy up hits one off the end of the bat and it falls for a double. So it'll be exciting, and I'll be tuning in as soon as we're done with our show.
Okay, and we got 3 topics to tell you about. We are going to tell you about a young man that helped his team break through and end a long losing streak. And we will have a secondary topic where we'll tell you about 2 things that's on our minds. And then the third topic will be an abbreviated slate of games this week for our final segment. But first off, Larry, stick your chest out big, my man, because Malik Jefferson of Newcastle High School is our athlete of the week. 5'8", 160-pound running back linebacker, 17 carries for 134 yards, 3 touchdowns, 41, 3, and 3. He punted 4 times with an average of 34 yards. And he had a long of 51 yards, pinning Ambridge at its 5-yard line in the fourth quarter in a crucial moment of the game as Newcastle salted away a 27-17 victory over Ambridge.
I'm really happy for this young man. If you're a Newcastle athlete, the highest compliment that I can give you is to say that you are the epitome of a red hurricane. And that's what Malik Jefferson is. It's easy to show up to practice and play hard when you're having a great season as a team. But when your team has struggled, as Newcastle has struggled, not only this year, but last year also, it's pretty tough to show up every day, work hard, play hard, lead by example. And that's what this young man has done. And that's impressive. That says something about who you are as a person. That says something about what kind of career you're going to have after you leave high school, and whether you play sports in college or, whether you don't, and just take that kind of a mindset into your vocation, whatever it may be. Malik Jefferson is the epitome of a red hurricane. You made a great choice this week, Ron Poniewasz, and, I'm proud of this young man. And again, he had a great game. But he's had a bunch of them this year. But unfortunately, it hasn't been enough to get his team over the hump week in and week out. But this young man got a bright future, Malik Jefferson.
Yeah, he runs the ball hard, gives it his all on all the plays and in practice. I've talked to Stacy Robinson about Malik Jefferson after games and for preview capsules that we do. And Malik Jefferson, like I say, he runs hard. He scored a touchdown late in the game a couple weeks ago at home, and Stacy was happy that he got in the end zone because he works hard, and it was a good payoff for him.
And it was late in the game. He scored it late in the game when the game was really over.
Mm-hmm.
But he's running hard at the end of the game. He's given everything he has. He's playing 4 quarters. He's playing to the whistle. I love that, man. I'm a coach. I love that in players. I love guys that just refuse to give up, even though the contest has been decided. Those are my guys. Those are junkyard dogs. Those are the guys I want on my team. Those are the guys I want to go to battle with. And Malik Jefferson, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, that touchdown I was referring to, I'm not sure the opponent, but I remember him coming off the field. He needed help off the field. I'm not sure if it was cramping or not, because I asked Stacy about about that. And I remember him saying, I don't know why a lot of our guys are cramping, but I'm not sure if that was an issue, but he was putting it on the line even in a game that was out of reach. And, but that's what he is. That's who he is as a player. He puts it on the line for his teammates, kids that he shows up to practice with each day, and then, goes to battle with on a Friday night.
This kid's a pretty good baseball player too. I'm gonna tell you something. My man can swing it, and he's just one of those guys. I'll take Malik Jefferson on my team anytime, in any sport. I don't care what the sport is. He, as Coach Tomlin likes to say, this young man has 10 toes in the water, and he plays to the whistle, regardless of the score. He's my kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so again, that's Malik Jefferson of Newcastle High School, 5'8", 190-pound senior running back, linebacker. I think I sold him short on the intro. He is 190. 17 carries, 134 yards, 3 touchdowns on runs of 41, 3, and 3. So good breakaway speed, as you well know, with the 41 yards. And he punted 4 times with an average of 34 yards. Malik Jefferson is our athlete of the week from Newcastle High School. Great to see them get a win, get off the schneid, so to speak. And that is our athlete of the week. And we will be right back here on Gridiron for our secondary topic.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other, be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Back with you here on Gridiron. Larry Kelly, Ron Poniewasz, talking to you about a couple of topics. And as we mentioned in the first topic with Malik Jefferson being athlete of the week, that means Newcastle lost its 17-game losing streak last week. They had it broken. And what a way to do it. 27-17 on the road in Parkway Conference action, Larry. But more importantly, just ending the losing streak, and now you have a shot at home against Blackhawk. And as they said in the movie Major League, get a win, get a second win. That's called a winning streak. It has been done.
Yeah, well, nothing succeeds like success. It's always easier to go to practice the week after a win than it is a week after a loss, and that's especially true in football. And they were behind 9-0 in this game. And all of a sudden, I mean, you're starting to think, here we go again. But one of my guys, Nate McKnight, had him in basketball. He's going to be a good player for Newcastle this year. Returns a kickoff, 86 yards for a touchdown. And it kind of turned the momentum of the game. And, you need plays like that. And you need plays like that from players like Nate McKnight. He's young. Nate's a sophomore. Kyrell's a sophomore. Harris, the quarterback. They got a lot of young guys out there in skill positions. Let's take care of business this week. Let's end it on a 2-game winning streak. And it makes the offseason a little more enthusiastic to come to the gym and build your body. You got to be willing to pay that price. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to win. The question is, are you willing to do what's necessary to win? And, teams are built in the offseason. And I don't care what sport it is, the offseason. And what I've learned in coaching high school sports, these seasons are 10 months if you want to be a champion, which means that, and again, I'll harken back to Newcastle basketball. I know it makes you crazy, but April and August were the only 2 months that we weren't in the gym working. April and August. And in April and August, our guys were in the weight room working, so let's take care of business this Friday. Let's get this win against Blackhawk. It's a game that probably Newcastle will be favored in, and it might be the first game they've been favored in all year. It's at home. Let's win it. Let's win it for the seniors. It'll be senior night. Then let's get in the gym and let's do what's necessary to get our bodies and our minds right to continue the success that we finished this year with.
talked to Stacy Robinson just about a half hour before we went on the air for our preview capsules that we run. And I asked him, what would a win over Blackhawk mean for the program? Basically, you know, be a 2-game winning streak, but what would a win in the season finale mean to the program? He said, well, it's hope for tomorrow, is how he put it. And that's kind of what you were saying too. It gives you a good positive boost of momentum going into the off season.
Makes it a lot easier to get into the gym and get your body and your mind right for next year. It's tough going and practicing and working out, you know, when you had a really, really, really poor season. It's hard to do. It gets a little easier if you win your last 2.
Yeah. I asked Stacy Robinson this question. I will ask you this question. It probably doesn't happen very often where a team has such a long losing streak and they're the opposition doesn't want to be the team that loses to them. Somebody's going to eventually. Now Newcastle's on the other side of it the very next week, you know, not several weeks down the road, the very next week, because Blackhawk is winless, you know. And I says, what do you make of that? Just how do you attack that? And, you know, what's your thoughts on that? Have you ever been in a position like that?
No, you know, not really. Not that I could think of. You know, hey, you're getting ready to play a football team. They have tendencies. You will have studied them. It's important that you execute, whether you're playing a team that's 8-0 or 0-8. You have to execute. Sports is a game of execution, and I don't care again what sport you're talking about. You know, football execution is imperative. Newcastle, we had great athletes, but we out executed most teams offensively and defensively in basketball, and that's why we won. Can't make mental mistakes. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about poise and discipline during the game. All 3 of those: execution, poise, discipline, mental toughness, laser focus, that all has to be in the soup to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. What a way to go into the off season by beating your arch rival Blackhawk, which is 0-6 in Parkway and 0-9 overall. And Larry, you kind of teased into it, the poise and discipline. Last week, Laurel played Summit Academy at home, and there was a tackle out of bounds, well out of bounds, and pushing and shoving ensued. I saw it happen on the stream, and I'm not sure if there was a lot of verbal stuff or stuff going on throughout the game, and the refs had enough. But you know, and Laurel didn't have anybody kicked out, so that was a good thing for Laurel. And I don't think they had really a role in it. It was all Summit Academy, so that's first off. But you know, let's say Laurel did have somebody kicked out. This week is a playoff game for them essentially, and that's what Brian Cooper just told me on the phone a little while ago.
Wouldn't that have been a shame? You know.
Yeah.
And look, it's hard to keep your composure when everybody else around you is losing theirs. But that's what championship teams do. You know, that shirt you're wearing, the New England Patriots, they don't lose their composure. They keep their poise. You know, winning teams, championship teams do that. I made a comment about the Pitt Panthers. You know, they had an interception late in that game against Wake Forest that should have had the game won. But what happens? One of the defensive backs, who wasn't even involved in the play, doesn't get one unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. He gets 2. And instead of having the ball 1st and 10 on or about the 30-yard line, they have to take it 1st and 10 on their own 7 or 6-yard line. Change the complete complexion of the game, the type of plays you can call, the result of the punt that occurred. You can't make those mistakes. You can't. That championship teams do not do that. You must be disciplined. I don't care what the other guy says to you. You must be poised. You can't lose your composure. Not if you want to win championships. Now, if you want to be a so-so team, if you want to be a 50-50 team, then do what Pitt did last Saturday. And that's why, in large part, why they lost that game and why they may lose other games moving forward if it doesn't change.
Yeah. You know, like we said off air, West Virginia, the team that I follow, responsible for that same type of stuff. On one play, a guy near the sideline grabbed a face mask. That's 15 yards. And then pushed him out of bounds, well out of bounds. That's another 15 yards. That's 30 yards of real estate on one play. It's no wonder they lose. And game before that, when Houston hit a Hail Mary on the final play of the game, the West Virginia quarterback had to take his helmet off and celebrate. Keep your helmet on. There's a rule in football. Keep your helmet on.
It's why they're not a championship team. Look, again, I hearken back to Newcastle basketball, led by Coach Belendo. In my 12 years, we had one technical foul, one in 12 years. And you don't think our guys got elbowed? You don't think our guys got trash talked? You don't think our guys got pushed from behind? They did, but they never responded because it's a mindset. It's mental toughness. It's laser focus. Championship teams do not do that. And as a coach, that makes me nuts. That makes me absolutely crazy when I see that stuff. Championship teams don't do that. Losing teams do that. I tell my guys at Chenango, you get hit, run the first base. Nobody's trying to hit you. Run the first base. You get taken out hard on a slide, get up and go play the next play. Some of these shenanigans that you see from undisciplined teams result in penalties or result in technical fouls, and they result in losses. Not many championship teams make those kind of mental mistakes, lose their focus, are undisciplined, are unpoised in the biggest moments.
Yeah, that Laurel game, I'm being facetious, obviously, but it looked like there was 88 flags thrown on that play. And in fact, one guy threw two of them. I had no idea referees carried multiple flags. He threw a flag, then he reached for another one, and I'm thinking, hey, man, how many more flags you got in your pants?
And I'll say this too. Sometimes you see that coming as an official.
Yeah.
And the good officials, when I coached basketball, the really good ones, and we had a lot of good ones, they may come to me and say, hey, coach, number 12's chirping up. Either you take care of it or I will take care of it. And trust me, I would take care of it. I would bite my player's head off. I'd pull him out of the game. Thanks, ref. I'll take care of it. And, sometimes if you see that happen in a football game, a good official will go to the coach and say, this young man's acting up here. Either you take care of it or I'm going to take care of it. That's what a good official does. But to me, I can't, I won't tolerate that. Not as a coach. I can't. That to me is what losers do. And I tell you what, the Pittsburgh Steelers better watch too, buddy. They had two unsportsmanlike conduct penalties at the end of that game when that game should have been over. And I know they're pros and I know they're grown men, but the New England Patriots didn't do that when they won all those championships. And not that I was a fan, because I wasn't, but I did admire that in a Coach Belichick team.
Yeah. Yeah, we tell you all this because the WPIL playoff brackets will be announced Saturday night. So we want to see our players not only stay healthy, but we want to see them stay in the game, not get kicked out and not get lost for the next round of a playoff or something like that, because the talent is just too valuable. You want to be going at it with your best talent. You want to be playing with your first teamers as much as you can.
And those penalties always seem to occur in the biggest moments of the game. Hey, you score a touchdown or you intercept a pass or you make a big reception for a first down, act like you've done it before. Like it's not a big deal. You know what I used to love about Malik Hooker? Maybe one of the greatest athletes to ever play at Newcastle. He would come and tomahawk dunk on you. The one that he tomahawk dunked, and he was on ESPN against Lower Merion. He didn't pound his chest. He didn't stand over the guy that he just jumped over. You know what Malik did? He ran back and played defense. That's why Newcastle was championship basketball.
Yeah.
Guys like Malik, and he set the tone. Sean Anderson, those guys set the tone. And that's what you got to have. You got to have guys like that who set the tone. because those other shenanigans in the biggest moments of the game, 9 times out of 10, will result in a loss for your team.
Absolutely. Okay. Very good, Larry. We have one more segment. We'll talk schedule. We'll do that next, right here on Gridiron.
I became an attorney because I believe in hard work, fairness, and human decency. In a word, justice. My workers' compensation clients deserve justice because in an instant, their hard work turns into hard times when they get hurt on the job. No doubt, life is tough, but so am I. I've been fighting all my life, and I'll keep fighting for you. I'm Joe George, and here in Lawrence County, it's personal.
Okay, we're back with you for the scheduled portion of the broadcast. And Larry, we have 2 days worth of games, five games total. The first game is Thursday afternoon, which is Union 4-1 in the Big 7, 7-2 overall at Summit Academy, which is 0-5, 0-9. And Larry, this is a Thursday afternoon game at 12:30. As you well know, there's an official shortage, but however, Summit Academy plays their games on Saturday. So why they felt the need to move that to Thursday and ruin an entire day of school for Union, although I'm sure the Scotties aren't worried about that. But to me, nobody can ever say, hey, it's a school night. We can't play basketball. It's hard for kids playing basketball till 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's a school night. This is a school day. You're missing school.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it's happening, but it really doesn't matter. And I'm sure Union will appreciate the fact that they can get back on the field after what happened against Southside Beaver last week, where they get beat 49-15. That game turned early. The first 2 kickoffs to Union were fumbled. Southside Beaver recovered both balls inside the 30-yard line, went ahead 14-0. So I'm sure Union is anxious to get back on the field and get a victory under their belt, which they're going to do on Thursday. They had some performances from a couple of young men who have not been heard of often this year. Grayson Blakely had a touchdown, a 14-yard touchdown pass to get him on the board early when it was 14-7. Andrew Gettings had 3 or 4 receptions. And of course, Braylon Thomas was Braylon Thomas. He threw for 189 yards. So I'm sure they'll be anxious to get back on the field, and the sooner the better.
Yeah, this will be the second Thursday game for Union. They played Shenango on a Thursday night. I remember talking to Kim Needballa about having that quote-unquote extra bye week, so to speak, kind of like the NFL when you play a Thursday and then you don't play again till the following Sunday or Monday, kind of like a mini bye. But this one, I think, is more important to have that extra day because the playoffs are coming around the corner. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think they would appreciate that. They're going to take care of business. They had 4 turnovers last week. You can't turn the ball over 4 times and win most football games. I'm sure Coach Needballa wants his team to execute, hold on to the ball, do all the little things that got them to the point that they are at now. And they may see Southside Beaver again. I still think Union is the best team in the WPIL, but you can't turn it over 4 times. You can't turn it over the first 2 times you touch the ball and give a really good team the ball inside your 30-yard line to start the game, go down 14-0. Can't do that. Not against a good team.
Right. Okay, these games are Friday night, 7 p.m. You have Blackhawk 0-6, 0-9 at Newcastle, 1-5, 1-8. And last year, Larry, Blackhawk concluded the regular season with a win over Newcastle. I believe it was like 37-7. That's Blackhawk's last win. They come in on a 9-game losing streak. And as we touched on in a previous segment, Newcastle goes from opposite ends of the spectrum. They're trying to get off the schneid, trying to get a win where the other team is trying to avoid being that team that loses to them. Now they're on that side of the fence. They're trying to make sure that they're not that team that loses to Blackhawk.
Again, Newcastle will be favored in this game, but they have to build on what they did last week. The key to successful teams is the ability to get incrementally better each and every week. And I read Coach Robinson's comments after the game. he was satisfied that there was some incremental improvement that he believes has been occurring throughout the season. And that's the key. You got to win on Friday. Let's take care of business on Friday. Let's play a solid game, and let's finish the season with 2 wins, and let's build from there. I think this is a really big game for Newcastle. It is. And I haven't said that in a long time.
Yeah, hopefully the fans come out and support the team. It's going to be nice weather, probably your last good Friday night of weather in terms of how nice the weather will be. So they won't have that as an excuse for sure. All right, next up we have Laurel 2-3 in the Big 7, 3-6 overall at Shenango, which is 2-3 in league, 4-5 overall. Larry, this is a winner goes to the playoffs and loser goes home. If it's pro wrestling, this is a loser leaves town match, so to speak.
Should be a great game. There's a rivalry between Laurel and Shenango. Both teams lost last week, but I don't think I'm sorry, not both teams. Laurel won last week. They beat Summit Academy. Shenango lost. But it's all about this week. And I think it's going to be a really competitive game. Both teams have gotten better throughout the course of the season. Laurel actually had 2 touchdown passes last week. Their quarterback, Luca Santini, threw 2 TDs, 32 and 45 yards. That's something they haven't done this year a lot. And of course, Shenango had a 26-14 lead after 3 quarters and kind of let it slip away. But played a really good game. Nico DeSalvo scored 2 touchdowns for the Wildcats. So this is a pick'em game. Like you're a sports betting guy. If I had to put a line on this game, it would be a pick'em game. And again, execution, turnovers, making plays in the biggest moments. That's what will decide this game. 2 well-coached teams.
Okay, still on the Shenango bandwagon for the game, I presume.
I have to be. Some of my guys. I got my guys playing on this team. So, I stick with my guys.
Okay. All right. Mohawk 6-0 in conference, Midwestern Athletic Conference, 8-1 overall. At Neshannock, also 6-0 in league, also 8-1 overall. This one, a little different stakes. This was one for the conference championship outright. Larry, how special is that for 2 teams?
And maybe the number 1 seed in the WPIL, and maybe the number 1 seed. Look, these are 2 great football teams. This is going to be a great game. The stands will be packed. It'll be old Tri-County football. This is going to be a great game. And both teams played well last week. Neshannock didn't have a cupcake against Elwood City. Elwood City's a good football team. They win the game. They get Coach Mo his 100th victory. Pat Argero scores 3 more touchdowns. But what's becoming impressive about Neshannock is Gino Mazzocca. He ran for 118 yards and threw for 190 yards. So, he's developing both ends of his game. He's becoming a dual threat. And that is so important in a game like this. Started the game with a 67-yard touchdown pass to Dominic Cabellas, who's a weapon. And then on the other side of the ball, you got Jay Rona, 2 more touchdown passes, 1 running. But the secret weapon, and you've heard me say this time and time again, this game may come down to a kick at the end. And I know Neshannock's got an excellent kicker, but the best kicker in the conference is Josh Wilkins. Had a 49-yard field goal at the end of the half to give Mohawk a 10-0 lead last week. I want that ace in my deck of cards if I'm coaching at Mohawk, because this young man obviously can make them and kick them from anywhere. And that could be huge in a game like this.
Yeah, absolutely. 17-7 going into half with a boot like that. Boy, I tell you what, as we've talked about him all year. He's named. I'm sure the coach has a lot of confidence in him, and Josh Wilkins just keeps coming through with that big leg of his.
49-yard field goal. And last week, the week before that, it was like 37 yards. You just don't see that a lot in high school football. You just don't. And this young man's been doing it for a couple of years now. These are no flukes. He's automatic on extra points, and you get the ball to the 30-yard line, you got a pretty good chance of scoring.
Yeah. I'm not a kicker, so I wouldn't know the answer to this, but that was on natural grass. They're going to play a home playoff game. When you get beyond that, it's going to be field turf. So maybe that helps them. Maybe that
absolutely. It's easier. You ask any kicker, it's easier kicking on field turf than it is natural grass. Mm-hmm. It's easier, and you have more distance, and there's a lot of things that happen for the good when you're kicking on field turf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's move forward to Elwood City, 2-4 in the Midwestern Athletic Conference, 4-5 overall at Riverside, which is 1-5, 1-7. I believe they call this the battle for the Rivell Cup, Larry.
Yeah, my kids went to Riverside. There's a rivalry. This is going to be a good game. Coach Billy Hand will have his team at Riverside ready. They haven't had a great season. They've been taking a few lopsided losses this year. But when Riverside buckles it up against Elwood, it's a good game. It'll be a good game. But listen, Elwood's had a really good year. They may not make the playoffs, but that program has been turned around. And one of the reasons is Elijah Palmer McCain. He ran for 106 yards against Neshannock. And Neshannock hasn't given up many 100-yard games this year to any running back. This young man's had a great year, but this ought to be a pretty good game next week. Yeah,
they actually take 5 teams to the playoffs from the Midwestern Athletic, and I didn't realize that until last week. So Elwood City wins, and I believe they're in. Riverside wins, and then it comes down to tiebreaker points, like especially if Freedom loses. I'm not sure what the stipulation is, but Elwood's in good shape in terms of tiebreaker points if it gets down to that, because I think they're -20, and then Riverside and possibly Freedom would be the other team. One has -40 and one has -41. So they're in good shape in that regard. Certainly a win takes care of everything, win and they're in. But then again, when you look at last year, Riverside won last year, and I think it was a shutout, like 28-0. So it's not a given that Elwood City is going to win this game.
Oh, no, these kids know each other. They see each other on the street, and that's what makes these rivalries special. It's been a lot of years since I played high school sports. I didn't mind losing to a team maybe from Pittsburgh that I didn't have to see when I went to McDonald's on Friday night. You understand? I didn't want to lose to my guys. I didn't want to lose to a team, that lived in my neighborhood, that I had to see them, and I gave them bragging rights. Look, no, I didn't want to. And that's what it is with Elwood and Riverside. That's what it is in Tri-County. That's what it is with Laurel and Shenango. That's what it is with Mohawk and Neshannock. You're going to see these guys. You're going to compete against these guys. And you never want to lose to guys in the neighborhood, Ronnie. You don't want to lose to guys from the neighborhood.
Yep. So going back to Mohawk and Neshannock, any thoughts on who prevails in this game?
Wow. Let me tell you, Neshannock might be the best team. We did this, and we had, I think, Mohawk or maybe Union. Union was our #1 team. I think Mohawk 2, Neshannock 3. But Neshannock has been getting progressively better. They may be the best team in the county now. This is a pick'em game, but it's a home game for Neshannock. It's on it's on artificial turf. Neshannock may have the edge in speed, but not by much, because Mohawk got Bobby Fadden, and the retort kid. It's a pick'em game, but Neshannock may have the edge because they're playing at home.
Okay. Does Josh Wilkins become the equalizer? Is he the secret weapon?
Listen, if this game comes down to a kick, I'm betting on Josh Wilkins. This kid's good. And he can make them from anywhere on the field. He's made game-winning kicks at the end of the half. He obviously has ice water in his veins. He's the trump card here in a close game.
Yeah, Carter DeVivo is no slouch either for Neshannock, that's for sure. And Larry, Elwood City and Riverside, do you like a side on that one?
Well, I think this game is at Elwood, is it not?
It's at Riverside.
Oh, it's at Riverside. Well, it's a little bit different then. You're not playing on a natural surface. But listen, Elwood's had a good year. I think they have the edge in this game. and I listen, all my buddies, I know a lot of those people at Riverside. Don't get mad at me, but I think Elwood has the edge this year. They've had a really good season.
Mm-hmm. Elwood City comes into this game losing 4 out of its last 5 games overall. Riverside got on the board last week with a win over New Brighton. I believe it was 23-14. So we'll see. How much of a letdown would it be for Elwood City to play 8 games at home and not advance to the playoffs, not be able to take advantage of that?
Well, I think it would be really disappointing. You know, they're the favorite in this game, even though the game's at Riverside. They're the favorite. They've had the better year, and they would be disappointed if they don't win this game. I think, you know, Riverside's playing a lot of young guys, and they've struggled this year mightily. So I think Elwood would be extremely disappointed if they don't win on Friday.
Was that a surprise on Riverside's behalf that they've struggled mightily, or was that did you not expect them?
Well, listen, when you're playing freshmen and sophomores, and you're playing against juniors and seniors, with rare exception, you're not going to win a lot of games. It's just rare exception. The guy that coaches there, Billy Hans, was a coach at Riverside many years ago, and he knows how to coach them up. He's had good success with the Riverside program. Riverside football has pedigree, Ronnie. They win, and they won for years and years. But again, when you're playing young guys against, especially in the sport of football, against teams that are laden with juniors and seniors, it's going to be a struggle to win games.
That's right. All right, Larry, anything else? Any parting words as we end the regular season?
I can't wait to see the Neshannock Mohawk game. Man, that is going to be a great football game. And yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah. If you're going, I would recommend going Thursday night, dropping your car off. Hopefully you have somebody following you and they could bring you back home. You want to get a parking spot. You don't want to be walking three
it's going to be a big crowd. Mohawk's going to bring an entourage. They always do. And, you know, Riverside, of course, I mean, Neshannock is well supported. Be a sellout. It's going to be a sellout. Be a great game. Yep. Great high school football game.
Cody W. Pattison will be on the scene for that one. I hear he's leaving for the game Thursday night after work and going to camp out in the parking lot waiting for that one.
You mean they don't have a parking space reserved for the Newcastle News?
They probably do, but, you know, Cody likes to get there early and be on the scene.
When I was covering for the Newcastle News, I used to rate the press box and the accommodations and oh yeah. Back then, now we're talking, man, a lot of years ago. Laurel was my favorite. Smitty out at Laurel used to take care of the Newcastle News. He always had a nice spread in the press box, and yeah, it was they were first class out there.
There you go. All right, Larry, good seeing you this week for Gridiron. We appreciate you joining us. Best of luck to our county teams as they have a quest to make the playoffs or to win a conference championship. There's plenty at stake, virtually something at stake in all the games. So root on your teams, and we'll be back here next week to talk playoffs, because the playoffs will be announced for the WPIL teams on Saturday night. Wilmington is off this week. Their last game of the regular season was last week against Grove City, a 58-28 loss. So we believe that Wilmington will be in the District 10 playoffs. But for right now, that's all we have for Gridiron. For Larry Kelly, I'm Ron Poniewasz. We will see you back here next week, right here on Gridiron.